Okay, week 6, let's do this. I'll maybe find something different next week, maybe. Okay. Graph all the following quadratic equations, identify the domain range. I only got 9 problems here today. I think that's good enough. You're graphing this equation here, obviously without graph paper. Okay, and you got to find the domain and the range. Domain's related to the x variable, range is related to the y. So you got to, and you need 3 coordinates, because when you have x to the second power, that means it's not a line, it makes a U shape. Okay, so that's A. There is no B, that's C. So if there's no B, then the vertex x is the origin, which means it's 0. Okay. And then you just add 1, subtract 1, and then you just plug those in. So 1 times 1 to the power of 2 minus 4 gives me negative 3. Put 0 in, negative 4, and then I'm going to be back to negative 3. Okay, graph it. Remember to label the middle point, that's your vertex, that's important. So forward 1, down 3. Stay in the middle, go down 4, label that middle one, 0, negative 4. Then the other one's just straight across. Okay, there's my graph. Okay, great looking graph. Now the x is 0, but we don't put the 0 because it's on both sides of the 0, this side and this side. So domain's all. The range, I make a horizontal line, okay, and everything's above that, so I put negative 4. Since everything's above, it's greater than or equal to. Okay, number 2. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 5. Okay, so we have 3 coordinates, and of course, then we got to find the domain and range. Okay, what do we have? We have A. This time we do have a B, we have C. So what do you do with the B? You don't just put it in, okay? You need to use the formula opposite of B divided by 2 times A. So the opposite of B, opposite of plus 8 is minus 8. And then A is negative 2, so 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And then I divide the top by the bottom, and that gives me 2. So then I go add 1 to 2, then I go the other way and subtract 1 from 2, and that's 1. Okay, then I plug the 3 in for each of my x's, so negative 2 times 3 to the second power, plus 8 times 3, minus 5, I got 1. Then I click up, and now it's 2. Okay, 3. Click up, then instead of 2, we put 1. Okay, you're back to 1 as you should be. So 3, 1, forward 3, up 1. Forward 2, up 3. Forward 1, up 1, okay? Remember, label that middle 2, 3. Now here's why I don't think in some of these videos I'm doing a good job explaining why the x is all. So to find your domain, you make a horizontal line through that middle point, a vertical line through that point, okay? Straight across, just in a dotted line, straight up and down. You notice how it goes on this side and this side, so that's why it's all, okay? Now to find the range, you make a horizontal line through that point, and now you're thinking above or below. Well, it only goes below. It's not on both sides of that line. It starts there and then it just goes down, so that's why it's less than or equal, because it's below and it's 3, okay? Okay, solve the equations for x. Remember, all these have 2 answers. Use your ABC to know what procedure to follow. 2x squared plus 7x equals negative 6. So that's A, that's B, that's C. So you have ABC. You need to move everything to one side first. You add the 6, so you have a 0. And then there's no C over there, so I just add 6 behind it. So for A, I have 2x to the second. For B, I have plus 7x. And for C, I have plus 6. Okay, now with ABC, first thing you do is use the discriminant, okay? B squared minus 4AC. So I put square root on the calculator. I need a second parentheses. And B is 7, and the 4, A is 2, C is 6. So 7 to the second minus 4. Remember that second parentheses has to be there. 2 and 6. Okay, it's 1. So I'm not going to use a quadratic formula. I'm going to try to factor it. So GCF and T. Okay, 2, 7, and 6 on a multiplication table, those would only be in the first row. And you wouldn't put an X because there's that C without the X. Then I take 2 times 6, that's 12. It's positive 12. So the signs match. We can always switch them to positive. Then I start dividing. Eventually, if you divide 12 by 3, you find it because it's 4. That's negative 7, but to get to positive plus 7, you need to make your signs plus. Okay, what's my A? My A is 2. So with 2, you need 4 parentheses. You lead off with 2, then you put x plus 3, x plus 4. 2 and 3 are only in the first row, so divide by 1, and that would stay 2x plus 3, and that's F1. 2 and 4 are in the second row, so divide by 2, that becomes 1x, or x plus 2, equals 0. Now I have rewritten that into factored form because this, when FOILed, will come back to this. Okay, I'm getting it unfoiled, so I know the two factors used to solve. So 2x plus 3 equals 0, 1x plus 2 equals 0. So I subtract 3, I get negative 3, divide by 2. Since 3 divided by 2 is a decimal, we're going to put negative 3 over 2. And then negative 2 divided by 1 is not a decimal, so put negative 2 down. Negative 3 halves, negative 2. Okay, number 4. 64x to the second equals 16. Shorter equation. So what do you have? You have an A, you have a C. There's no B. These are the easiest to solve when there's no B. Okay, they're easy. You get the x squared by itself, so you'd have to divide by 64. You would not have to add or subtract, and that gives me x to the second. 16 divided by 64 is 0.25. Then I find the square root of 0.25. I get 0.5. So it could be 0.5 or negative 0.5. So with AC, you don't need a 0 here. Okay, ACs are the easiest to solve. You apply a square root to the x squared after you've gotten rid of that number. Okay, number 5. 4x to the power of 2 plus 3x equals 3x to the power of 2 minus 4x plus 18. So there's two answers. That's an A, that's a B, that's another A, that's another B, that's a C. Okay, ABC, you need to get 0 on that side, so we minus 3x squared, and there's an A there where I can do that. We plus 4x, and there's a B there where I can do that. We minus 18, that's a C, there's no C, so I just put minus 18 here. Now I have my ABC equals 0. So 1x to the second is my A, because 4 minus 3, plus 7x is my B, 3 plus 4, minus 18 is my C. Okay? Alright, now use the discriminant to know if you need to use, or if the T-chart works. Okay? Need that second parenthesis, so B is 7, raised to the second, subtract 4, A is 1, C is negative 18. Okay, it equals 11, that's not a decimal, that means we should probably try to factor. GCF and table. 1, 7, 18 would be 1. The 18 doesn't have an x, so enough with that. 2 times negative 18 is negative 18, so it's positive times a negative. We're adding to try to get to plus 7. Remember, when that's negative, you need plus negative. 18 divided by 1 is 18, that's negative 17. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Add those, you get negative 7. So we found that we can stop the t-chart, but to make it plus 7, you need a plus 9 and a minus 2. Okay, a is 1, so that means I can get rid of the 1 and just make 2 parentheses with x minus 2 and x plus 9 equals 0. Okay, so x minus 2 could equal 0, x plus 9 equals 0. So plus 2 plus 2. 2 minus 9 minus 9, you get negative 9. 2 and negative 9. Okay, number 6, 7x to the second minus 49x equals 0. So that's 2 answers. This time we have an A and that's a B. So with an AB, just the GCF is the way to go. That's all you need. Okay. GCF, 7 and 49 is 7. And you need an x with the 7 because both of them have x. So I factor out 7x and that's your F1. And I go divide by 7x. That's going to be 1x. Remember that's no longer to the second power when you divide by x. And then minus 7. That's F2. So 7x could equal 0 or 1x minus 7 could equal 0. Divide by 7. Get 0 plus 7 plus 7. And you get 7. 0 and 7. Okay, number 8, or number 7, my bad. 3x to the second plus 5x equals 4. So there's 2 answers. You got A, B, C. So A, B, C, you need the 0 over there. A, B, and C all have to come over to the same side. There's no C, so. Okay, so A, you got 3x squared. B, you got 5x. C, you got minus 4 equals 0. Okay, apply the discriminant. Because then that tells you if you have to waste time, if you have to do the t-chart or not. Because you don't want to waste time with the t-chart when there's an easy way to find if it even works. Yeah, that doesn't work. Put equals 8.54 and then you use a quadratic formula. Getting that irrational square root decimal means, yeah, it's not going to factor. Okay, so opposite of B, well, we got plus 5 would be minus 5. A would be 3. Now on top of this square root, I just put 8.54. So we got negative 5. After the plus minus, we're going to put 8.54, and then on bottom 2 times 3 is 6. So negative 5 plus 8.54 divided by 6, 0.59. Negative 5 minus 8.54 divided by 6 is negative 2.26. Okay, there we have it. Okay, story problems number 8 and 9. So again, ABC, move everything to one side, do the square root of b squared minus 4ac decimal, then you do quadratic formula. You complete the process. Non-decimal, try to factor it. AC are the easy ones. You just get the x squared by itself and square root. AB, you just have to get everything on one side and then do the GCF and you're there. Okay, number 8. A cell phone company sells about 500 phones each week when it charges $75 per phone. It sells about 20 more phones per week for each $1 decrease in price. Find the company's maximum revenue. Okay, the maximum's your vertex. It's like the middle of the graph. And to find that, you're going to need opposite of B divided by 2 times A. You don't use the sum, okay? Just that part. And then Y, you just replace plug in for X. Okay, well now we need to get an ABC quadratic equation. So y equals blank x squared plus blank x plus blank. But we can't just throw numbers in there, okay? You need a couple of parentheses because y means that's our revenue, okay? Now, how do you calculate revenue? Well, you take the money you charge for an item and multiply it by how many items you sold. It's like a box of popcorn. If I sell a box of popcorn for $2 each and I sell 10 of them, my revenue is $20. Now, this is more complicated than that because you're changing the price. Find your $2 amounts. You got 75 and 1. Those go together. 75. Don't put an X on the 75. That's your initial price. And you're going to decrease it by $1. Now you can go from 75 to 74 to 73 to 72 to 71 to 70 and on. So X is applied there because we don't know how many ones are subtracted. Now if that's minus, this is plus. And now you find your non-money numbers, 520. So 500. Now, while that goes down by 1, that goes up by 20. 520, 540, 560, 580, 600. You don't know where it stops. So X is applied to that. Okay, now I do the FOIL method. Okay. So I take 75 times 500. 75 times 20x. Negative 1x times 500. And negative 1x times 20x. Okay, 75 times 500. Or 75 times 500. Okay, 37,500. That's a C because there's no X on it. Okay. Multiply 75 times 2, that's 1,500x. That'd be a B. Negative 500x, that'd be a B. One of your B's should be positive, one should be negative. And then negative 1 times 20 is negative 20x a second. And that's my A. My A should always be a negative because it's going upside down. It's not the U is upside down. Okay, so A is negative 20. B, we add those, and that's going to be 1,000. And C is going to be 37,500. Okay, so there's your A and the B and the C. Now you just come up here, opposite of B is negative 1,000. 2 times negative 20 is negative 40. So I take negative 1,000 divided by negative 40, I get 25. Now that's how many changes you made the price. So you would take that down by $1 25 times. You'd end up at $50, okay? Now to find out how much money you make, you're going to put 20 into that equation. 25, my bad, because X equals 25, so find what Y equals. So negative 20 times 25 to the second plus 1,000 times 25 plus 37,500, $50,000, okay? So we drop the price by $1 25 times and we get $50,000 as my maximum revenue. Okay, last problem, number 9. You're planning a rectangular patio with a length that is, I'm going to put that in bold here, that is 7 feet less than 3 times its width. Okay, the area of the patio is 120 square feet. Find the dimensions of the patio. You're finding the length and the width. That's what find the dimensions of a rectangle mean. Okay, use that. Okay, first off, you're going to put an equation for your area. Okay, length times width equals the area, but I know my area is 120. Okay. Now, length, we can't just put L and W. That's not going to get me anywhere. So I use that is to write an equals. Is means equals. Now, in front of is, you have the dimension length. That's all by itself. Now put W over here and then work your way backwards when it says width. It says 3 times. That means put a 3 in front. 7 feet less means minus 7. Okay? Now you're good to go. Cross out your L's and you're going to fill that in with 3W minus 7. And that's just going to be W. So I multiply it. 3W times 1W and negative 7 times 1w. That's going to be 3w to the second, that's an A, and that's negative 7w, that's a B. These can't go together, so I write 3w squared, that's A, minus 7w, that's B, equals 120, which is a C, okay? That's not A, it says, I wrote that because it says area. Don't put area if it's don't put that if it screws you up. ABC you want to put though. So ABC, you got to get everything to one side. Okay, and then I have 3w to the second minus 7w minus 120 equals 0. Okay, I apply the discriminant. Usually these are decimals on these problems. So B, negative 7 to the second minus 4, 3. C is negative 120. Make sure you get that in as a negative. Okay, 38.59. Okay, so opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC over 2A. Now the opposite of minus 7 is 7, and then A is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Square root I already know is 38.59. Okay? So we have 7, 6, 38.59. Okay, 7.60. And then that's a negative. If it's negative, you get rid of it, and that's what we want to put as W. Don't put that for your L. A lot of people do that. To find your L, you go back to the top and you cross out your W and put the answer you're going to use. So L is now equal to 3 times 7.60 minus 7, which gives me 15.8. Now I can always check my answer by multiplying these together and seeing if it's about 120. Should match up to the area. About, not exactly, but about. Yeah, practically. Okay, so there we go.